Hello, my name is Matthew Pfeiffer with MattPfeifferCoaching.com. Welcome to my YouTube channel. On this channel, I make videos and content about toxic, narcissistically abusive relationships. And if you have a question that you want me to answer on YouTube, make sure you send it to justaskmatt at MattPfeifferCoaching.com. Again, that is justaskmatt at MattPfeifferCoaching.com. Just make sure you keep the email max and very direct to the point of what your question actually is. And also make sure you hit the subscribe notification. You also hit the bell notification so you're notified every time I upload a new video. I upload new videos 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. And with that being said, let's get in today's email. So today's email reads, "Hey Matt, I'm dealing with a son and father team of narcissists, and the grandfather is an attorney. This is a lot more common than what people might think. It's very common. I've worked with a lot of people who have narcissists who their ex or soon-to-be ex were attorneys, or they knew someone or were very connected, and they also lived in a small city." And let's continue with this email. "They're well known in all surrounding counties. What should I do?" And again, it's very common. One of the things about narcissists is that their friendships quite often are a mile wide and an inch thick, so that the relationships are not very deep, and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. So in a situation where you have a narcissist who is connected well with the judges and with the attorneys, things like that, we need to do two things. Number one, you need to feel very comfortable with your attorney. Quite often, yeah, they may know this person, but guess what? Most attorneys know each other, and they're able to separate the fact that they know each other from, guess what, I have a job to do. Just like anyone else, right? They have it, just like yourself. You may have people that you know and that you go to lunch with, but you still have a job to do, to represent or to do the things that you do. And you wouldn't necessarily put your job on the line for your friend, for your coworkers, even if you like them. Now, with that being said, this is part two to that. It's important that you know your rights. You know your rights as a mother. You know your rights as far as the divorce goes, the things that you are entitled to, the things that you're not entitled to, because when you have a right, that means that they would have to go above and beyond, right? And other people would have to put their own careers at risk to satisfy this person that, just like I said, a mile wide, an inch deep, right? They may know this person, but do I know them well enough that I'm willing to put my own career on the line to violate this person's rights, that I know that this is against the law, right? Just because they know them does not mean that they're willing to go that far. That's the reason why it's important for us to know that, guess what, an inch deep when it comes to the relationships. Just because, we also have to understand that just because they know them does not mean that they like them. Right? Sometimes, there's a lot of times people may be courteous and things like that, and they may be polite when people see each other. Doesn't mean that they like them. Right? Doesn't mean that they like them, but, and it also, again, I can't stress this enough, your rights, right? We have to understand our rights, and so find an attorney that you feel comfortable, that will educate you on your rights, that you can ask questions, that they will articulate that. And I'm going to give you a plug to a friend of mine. He's on pretty much all social media platforms, and definitely on TikTok and on Instagram. And he was also on my podcast. If you go down to the link below, you can connect with my podcast. But his name is Judge Anthony, right? And so Judge Anthony is a former attorney and also a former judge who now makes content very similar to mine, but his is pertaining to the courtroom. And he was in my podcast, and we actually talked about this situation in the podcast, when someone is well connected in a small city or a county, or just the fact that they're well connected in the situation. And so it's not just coming from me, it's coming from someone who was in the trenches and actually dealt with this in real life, in real time, as a judge, as an attorney. And he says a lot of the same things, right? That they may know each other, but it doesn't mean that they're willing to put themselves at risk, right, to call in a favor for a friend, the way that people might think. Now, with that being said, it doesn't mean that the narcissist won't try to convince you of that. That's a whole nother story, right? The narcissist will try to paint an image and try to make all these threats and will make it seem as though they're going to bull you over in court. That's not what happens, right? So it's important for you to understand your rights, that you're comfortable with your attorney, even if they know them. But guess what? Most attorneys do know each other, right? Even if, let's pretend that this was not his dad. Most attorneys do know each other already. They already know the judges, right? And they don't have that ability to call in favors the way that people might think. Part two to this is that if this does start to get hairy, it starts to get sticky and things start to go sideways, one of the things that you can do is you can actually use the narcissist's narcissism against them. One of the things about narcissists is that they cannot stand to be exposed. And so the fact that this person has their father representing them and they know everyone in the courtroom, be open. And I would only do this if you absolutely if it's absolutely necessary, but be open to introducing into evidence something that might be a bit embarrassing, right? If you have information on the narcissist, if you have pictures and things of the abuse, if you know things that they've done, or if they do specific things in the bedroom, if they do specific things in the bedroom that they don't want other people to know, right? Be open to introducing that into evidence. I would not say that specifically to the narcissist. I wouldn't tell them that. I wouldn't tip your hand. But quite often when you introduce that into evidence and then they see that this is about to go out into the public, that the judge is going to find this out and everyone in the courtroom is going to hear about all these horrific things, right? Quite often you might start to see that the narcissist starts to back down and might start to crack a bit, because the last thing they want to do is for people to see what's behind that mask. So keep that in mind, but I would kind of keep that tool in your back pocket just in case. Thank you very much for writing in. For those of you who have a question for me that you would like for me to answer, make sure you send it to justaskmatt@mattpfeiffercoaching.com. Again, make sure you keep that email 2 to 3 paragraphs max, and you're very direct and specific to what your question actually is. The fastest way to reach out to me, the fastest way to work with me, is to connect with me on my Toxic to Triumph community. You can connect with me when you're a part of that community. You can connect with me on different webinars. I host webinars and trainings quite often, multiple times a week. You get to participate in my podcast. You get to listen to that live, ask myself, and not just myself, but also guests and other people that I have on the podcast. You get to connect with all of us. So it makes the healing journey a lot faster and a little bit more fun as well. So you also get to connect with other people who are in the forums. All of that is linked down below. So thank you guys very much. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next video.